Coach Darrell Royal's 1968 Longhorns were champions in every sense of the word. After a tie and a loss in their opening games, the Horns roared back with 8 consecutive wins, gaining momentum every week. In doing so, Texas played before 6 sellout crowds for an average of over 58,000 fans per game. The most explosive offense in Southwest Conference history produced a total offense record of 4,476 yards and a rushing offense record of 3,315 yards. Individual honors were many, as 3 Horns were selected All-American: Chris Gilbert, Lloyd Wainscott, and Corby Robertson. Among the All-Conference players were Gilbert, Wainscott, Robertson, Darrell Comer, Ken Gidney, Danny Abbott, Glenn Hulsell, Leo Brooks, Ron Ehrig, and Steve Wooster, a total of 10. Mike Perrin was named to the Academic All-American team, and 4 others made the Southwest Conference Academic team: Robertson, Zapalak, Steinmark, and Scott Henderson. Another great season for Athletic Director Darrell Royal. Assistant Athletic Director and freshman coach is Bill Ellington, with Jim Helms assisting with the freshmen. Texas opened the season, 1968, by hosting the powerful University of Houston Cougars in Austin. We pick up action with Texas' Chris Gilbert going 57 yards for a touchdown with good line blocking. That tied the game up at 7-7. All-American Chris Gilbert. And then Denny Aldridge stops a Houston drive with this interception. That steal set up this scoring drive. Gilbert, the ball carrier, with Coy blocking, he goes 24 yards. And then Ted Coy keeps the Longhorn drive going with this 40-yarder, picking up key blocks from Gilbert, Wunsch, and Comer. The horn set again. Gilbert scores from the 8 on this run to the right, giving Texas a 14-7 lead. The Texas defense gets into the act as All-American Lloyd Wainscott and Bill Attesses hit the Houston quarterback, and Attesses falls on the loose ball. R.M. Patterson is the defensive line coach for Texas, Tom Ellis the linebacking coach. It's Ted Coy again on this 4-yard touchdown run, knotting the score at 20-20. The UT defense makes a gallant goal line stand on the next 3 plays, stopping the potent Cougars at the 1. On that one, Paul Gibson picks up 2 to the 1. And on the next play, Strong cracks the middle for no gain. Fred Steinmark steals this Cougar pass late in the game. Texas' second game of the season was with Texas Tech. We pick up action in that game at Lubbock shortly after the second half kickoff, with Texas trailing 0-21. Glenn Hulsell recovers a Tech fumble at the Tech 21. And then Gilbert gets 5 down to the 9-yard line. With a key block by Ted Coy, Gilbert again scores Texas' first touchdown. Later in the third period, quarterback James Street hits Cotton Spirer on a 28-yard pass play. Fullback Steve Wooster blasts for 50 yards down to the 1-yard line. And then it's Wooster again, in for the score to cut Tech's lead to 28-14. Steinmark recovers a Tech fumble at the Raider 27. James Street, back to pass, hits Cotton Spirer on an 11-yard gainer. And a few plays later, Wooster goes over for the touchdown. Up comes Oklahoma State. And after the tie and a loss, we pick up action near the end of the first quarter as Texas' Jim Williamson hits quarterback Ron Johnson, and Tom Campbell recovers for Texas. 2 plays later, James Street throws a perfect 61-yard touchdown strike to Cotton Spirer. Later in the game, Street quarterbacking hits Spire again for 18 yards. On the ground now, 2 plays later, Coy goes for 13 to the Cowboy 36. And with the Texas line containing beautifully, Gilbert throwing a key block, Coy rolls for 27 yards down to the 9. And sophomore Steve Wooster at fullback goes in for the score to make it 17-3. Later in the ball game, Mike Perrin intercepts a pass and runs it back 26 yards for the score. Perrin is the All-American Scholar, recipient of the Blake Scholarship. The annual game in Cotton Bowl against Oklahoma. Texas with the ball, Wooster picking up 10 down to the Sooner 22-yard line. 5 plays later, Wooster scores from the 2 for a 14-14 tie. Texas in punt formation. Bradley back to punt. This is the famous 42-yard wedge shot that bounces back out of the end zone to the 1, sets up a safety. And here's that play. All-American Lloyd Wainscott pursuing and tackling OU's Warmack in the end zone for the 2-pointer that gave Texas a 19-14 lead. But Texas is trailing in the 4th quarter, 20-19, as James Street begins that famed 85-yard drive with this 18-yard pass to Darrell Comer. And it's Street back again. And again passes to Comer. Good for 21. The same combination. Street with a 13-yarder to Comer on the OU 31. Now it's Bill Bradley's turn as he takes a 10-yarder to the 21-yard line. Texas set. Wooster takes over on a draw play for 14 down to the 7. And on virtually the same play, Wooster slams into the end zone for the winning score of the ball game. Texas over Oklahoma. Smokey the Cannon. The traditional rivalry between Texas and Arkansas. With Darrell Comer blocking, Wooster gets things going in the second period with a 26-yard burst. And on the next play, watch James Street. As he moves to his left, he's laid low, but pitches the ball horizontally to Coy, who gets 7 more yards to the Arkansas 18. After another first down, Street keeps for a 10-yard gainer to the 5, picking up a key block by Steve Wooster. And 2 plays later, with Souders and Wiegand blocking, Gilbert cuts over for the score that makes it Texas leading 10-9. Arkansas came back to lead 15-10 when Street starts another drive with this 11-yard keeper play. And a few plays later, the All-American, Chris Gilbert, takes the pitch out, makes his cut down the far sideline, picking up 14 yards. Street back to pass, hits Comer on an 11-yard pass play to the 22. With Souders picking up a key block, Wooster goes all the way in from the 16 for an 18-15 Texas lead. And then still in the second period, Street is on mark as he hits Farrer on a 51-yard touchdown pass. The Horns are en route to another score as Coy takes the pitch, and gains 7 yards. Fullback Wooster will get the call and goes in for the score that makes it 32-15. With Dale and Wiegand throwing key blocks, Chris Gilbert races 40 yards for Texas' final touchdown of the game. Which brings us to the Texas game with Rice. On our first play from scrimmage, Gilbert picks up 45 yards. Fine offensive blocking by the Texas line. Head offensive coach is Willie Zapalak. The offensive lineman coach is Leon Manley. And then 2 plays later, Wooster blocking effectively. Gilbert gets 9 more. And that sets up this 2-yard touchdown run by Chris Gilbert. Standing up. Rice has tied the score when we see Lloyd Wainscott block an Owl punt. And Tom Campbell fields it on the run for a Texas touchdown. On still another drive, James Street rolls to his right, keeps and cuts, picks up 15 yards. Then Ted Coy broke several tackles for a 28-yard pickup that set up a Happy Feller field goal and a 17-7 lead. Incidentally, Feller broke the record with 34 extra points. It's Gilbert again, picking up blocks from Wunsch and Comer. He goes for 32 yards. Later on the same drive, Street is back to pass. He hits Darrell Comer for 25 yards. And then with Abbott and Gidney, the guards, and Wiegand, the center, blocking effectively, Wooster scores the touchdown for a 24-14 lead. Later in the fourth quarter, Chris Gilbert picks up 20 to the Owl 38. And with Ken Gidney pulling on this play, Ted Coy adds 13. And Chris Gilbert scores from the 2. Texas then faced the high-scoring SMU Mustangs. The nation's top passer, Chuck Hickson, is looking for the nation's top receiver, Jerry Levias, on this first quarter play. But all-conference Ron Ehrig tips it, and Fred Steinmark grabs it for a Longhorn steal. Great balance in the Texas backfield. Gilbert picking up 7 yards. And later, James Street, the quarterback, keeps for the first Texas touchdown. Here's that end-around play from the Longhorn 15. With Wunsch, Wiegand, and Comer blocking, Spire takes a pitch from Street and goes down the far sidelines for 81 yards to the Pony 4. He is finally hauled in from behind by Mike Livingston. 2 plays later, Street gets his second score of the day. In the second period, Street will pass complete to Darrell Comer. He breaks a tackle and then goes 59 yards. We're set now for a big defensive play against SMU. Comer and Bill Zapalak throwing Hickson back from the 4 to the 10-yard line to stop a threat just before halftime. The defensive chief for Texas, Mike Campbell. Texas leads 21-7 at this time. And here's why Gilbert is the all-time Southwest Conference rusher and one of the top ground gainers in NCAA history, as he goes 76 yards to the 4, but Texas did fail to get a score. Ted Coy on a 52-yard touchdown run in the third period of that game. And another big defensive play. Tackle Leo Brooks is blocked, but still stops Hickson for a 2-yard loss. Hickson back to pass, throws long, but it's intercepted by Ehrig. And the intercept sets up a field goal. Gilbert, behind Abbott and Wunsch, gets Texas' final TD on this 13-yard run. Texas faces the Baylor Bears. James Street at quarterback, picking up 20 yards on this play. And carries to the Baylor 15. Gilbert to carry. Wooster with a key block. Right tackle for 10 yards. And the touchdown run. Trailing 7-6, Texas gets another drive going on the 42-yard pass from Street to Ted Coy. And Street stays in the air. Throws to his left, throws, hits Gilbert for a 13-yard gainer. Chris gets the call again. Picks up 9 yards to the 3-yard line. And from that point, fullback Wooster crashes into the end zone. Street will keep the ball. Picks up key blocks from Wiegand and Coy. This is third quarter. Texas leading 20-13. James travels 29 yards on the play. And 2 plays later, Wooster gets another Texas touchdown from 6 yards out. Baylor has narrowed it to 27-20 late in the third when Gilbert runs for 32 yards. Chris's career record, 3,231 yards, the only NCAA player in history to pick up 1,000 yards in each of 3 seasons. And 2 plays later, with Lester blocking, Gilbert scores on a 7-yard run. Wooster gains 22 on this play that carries to midfield. And then Gilbert closes the drive with an 8-yard touchdown run. Texas faces the big TCU Horned Frog squad, making an impressive 92-yard, 17-play drive with the opening kickoff. On this play, Wooster gains 16. 3 plays later, Street passes 13 yards to Comer. The offensive backfield coach for Texas, Emory Ballard. Later, Street picks up 14 as he keeps the ball and carries to the TCU 35. Gilbert picks up 10 on this one to the 14. And then with the guards in center blocking effectively, Street goes in for the touchdown. Later in the same period, Steve Wooster picks up 42 yards. Up the middle, cutting to his right. It's back to the air. Street finding Spire on a 24-yard touchdown pass. And now in the third period, Spire tries that end around again for 16 yards. It's Coy now, up the middle for 11 yards. And then Wooster fights at left guard for the touchdown and a 33-7 lead. Still in the third period, Bobby Callison finds a big hole and goes 49 yards for a Longhorn touchdown. And in the last quarter, Billy Dale picks up 35, rolling to his left down the far sidelines. And that sets up an 8-yard gallop by Callison. Literally untouched. The ancient enemy, Texas A&M, on Thanksgiving Day. A methodical destruction of the Aggies on their first possession by the Longhorns, and this quick pass from quarterback James Street to tight end Darrell Comer gained 10 early in the 70-yard drive. Later in the same drive, Street pass is complete to Ted Coy for 9 yards and another key first down. Here's a good 9-yard run by fullback Steve Wooster, who stumbles as he goes through but still got a good gainer. And the Longhorn first touchdown came on Wooster's smash in the middle to give Texas a 7-0 lead. Here, Aggie quarterback Ed Hargett looks for Barney Harris, but Ron Ehrig will tip the ball away. Bill Bradley will steal it for the first interception in 176 passes for Hargett. Bradley intercepted 4 in that game, a conference record. The defensive secondary for Texas is coached by Freddie Akers. 4 plays later, Charles Spire comes on a reverse from his split end position. He races 23 yards for the Texas touchdown to make it 14-0. And on its next possession, Spire comes back to the other side for 19 yards on the end around. Chris Gilbert with the call, follows with a sweep of 11 yards around the right side. And then Gilbert hits the middle, twists, squirms in for the third Longhorn score. 2 possessions later, Texas got rolling again on this simultaneous catch between Texas' Danny Lester and A&M's Dave Elmendorf. The offense keeps the ball. The play is good for 43 yards to the Aggie 21. And Ted Coy converts a 4th and 1 situation to a 5-yard gain that gives the Longhorns a first on the A&M 7. James Street gets the touchdown on a 6-yard run. Texas leads 28-0. The final Texas touchdown drive begins on this 17-yard pass from Street to Charles Spire. And then Street to pass again, hitting Chris Gilbert on this 36-yard play to the A&M 24. Then comes the final Longhorn touchdown as Street passes to Spire for 8 yards and a 35-0 lead that put the Longhorns in the Cotton Bowl against Tennessee, January 1st, Southwest Conference co-champions of 1968.